Welcome to the GMG Business Blueprint, where real people build real businesses, starting simple and scaling smart. I'm Audrey Bell Kearney, and 3 times a week, I break down practical business blueprints you can actually use without hype, jargon, or tech overwhelm. If you're ready to turn ideas into income and build something real, you're in the right place. Good morning, good morning, good morning, all my Gwinnetians out there in Gwinnett land and all of my friends around the world. It's a nice day here in Gwinnett County. The temperature right now is 60 degrees. It's overcast, so it's going to go up to about 64, but it's nice. It's supposed to be sunshining later. Hope you guys are having a wonderful start to your day. Today is Wednesday, hump day, baby. You have made it to the MIDDLE, the middle. You are there. Today I'm going to be talking about, I talk about every show I try to talk about how to start a business, like some type of business. But today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I give you a blueprint, but today I want to give you the prerequisite before the blueprint. Maybe I should have done this first, but somebody asked me a question recently and they're thinking about starting a business and they had a real unrealistic expectation of what the business could be and should be and why they should start it. And so instead of me giving you a blueprint today, I wanted to give you, I'm sorry about them putting chapstick on my lips. I wanted to give you a something to think about before you start the business, because here's the thing. Anybody who knows me know I love being an entrepreneur. Like, I can't see myself doing anything really outside of that because it's just who I am. It's in me. And it took me a long time to get, well, not a long time, but I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, sharing with you, starting things, creating things, helping other people start things and create things. But has this life been glamorous for me? Not yet. Has it afforded me a lot of freedom? Absolutely. But it has not. I haven't gotten to the glamorous stage where I could just fall back and go shopping and just buy like the G wagon and the mansion. I haven't gotten to that point, and I don't think I ever will. Not because I can't make the money, but because that's not where I want to be anymore. Like before, I wanted the mansion and all of the things, and I don't. That's not important to me anymore. What's important to me now is family and friends and excellent health and creating experiences. Those things are important to me. If anything, I want a lake house. If anything, I want to be in the box at the games. Like, those things are important to me. A mansion, 17 cars, nah, not so much. But I haven't gotten to that stage yet. So, but I will get there. That I know. But I wanted to talk about this topic, 5 things you need to think about before starting a business, because sometimes people think it's so romantic to be an entrepreneur and it's so fun and it's all of the things. And here's a real truth that maybe nobody's telling you. It's very lonely. Let me say that one more time. Entrepreneurship is very lonely. And here's why. It's lonely because once you start on this journey and you find that this is the path you're supposed to be on, there are a lot of people around you, they're not on that path and they never will be. So you're going to have to adopt, adapt, adapt to, being by yourself until you find your tribe. You're going to have to adapt to the fact that people around you who go to work every day, that's what they're going to do. And they're not going to understand your plight. They're not going to understand this journey. They're not going to understand the struggles. Because if people just say to me, "Why don't you just get a job?" Right? And trust me, I went back a couple of times to get a job. And when I tell you I was absolutely miserable, I was miserable because I had found out what it feels like to be free. Not financially free, but definitely time free. And so you have to think about all of these things before you start these businesses. So let's break some things down. The first thing you want to do is be honest with yourself, right? If you know that you are not good at being disciplined, this is not for you, because you're going to have to be extremely good about being disciplined, right? You're going to have to say no to plenty of things you want to go to. Plenty of things you want to do, you have to say no to that. Plenty of stuff you want to buy, you have to say no to that. And when I learned how to say no to all of those things, it became I became somebody else, because you change. You become a different person. I give you a prime example. In my 20s, I was a party animal. My friends and I, we party literally for real 4 days a week. Thursday through Sunday, we party. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And when it was time for go to work on Monday, my mother would say something like, "You going to work?" And depending on how tired I was from partying for 4 straight days, sometimes I would go and sometimes I wouldn't. Right? But I could do that. I was single. I had a good job. I worked at the hospital. All my friends and I, we worked at the hospital except for one. My mom worked at the hospital. My aunt worked at the hospital. My boyfriend worked at the hospital. So we were in the union. So we had a job and we didn't have any responsibilities. There were no kids.
When I had my daughter and I had at 24, that all changed. I had to I had to stop because now I had my daughter and I had to figure out, okay, how am I going to take care of this little girl, right? And her dad and I stayed together till I was 6, and then we broke up. So now I'm a single parent by myself. I got to figure some stuff out, right? So what I did was I found out about entrepreneurship, and I've never stopped, but I gave up so much. Now back in my party animal days, I used to shop like I was a shopaholic to the point where my brother said, told my mother I needed to get help because he had an American Express card and he would let me use his card. And I would just go shopping. My bill would be like $3,000 a month. And he told my mother, you need to get her some help. She needs help. Something is wrong with her. I was a shop. I love clothes to this day. I still love clothes. I still love clothes. And I like to shop, but I do nowhere nearly as much shopping as I did in my younger days. Why? Because I became an entrepreneur and I had to take care of my daughter. So shopping was like out of the, my hair was done every week, my nails was done every week, and that was my life. Shopping, partying, nails done, hair done every week. Like my hairstylist name was Carlos. My cousin and I went to the same hairstylist. We wore our hair short. We would go to Carlos every like Wednesday. So by the time Thursday rolled around, we would fly every week. And so that was my first stylist. My second stylist name was Tanya. So I did those things because I didn't have any responsibilities. When I started to become an entrepreneur and a parent, that all changed. I had to make a strong shift. So then I became another person. I had to. I stopped shopping. I stopped partying. That all went out. I barely got my hair done. Like I got my hair done every 2 weeks versus every week. I stopped getting my nails done. One, because my nails was damaged so bad from the all the stuff they would put on them. But two, because it became really expensive. Like, okay, I got to take care of my kid. I want to take her to the park and to the zoo and to all these things. And it's either that or my nails. And then when I really got deep into entrepreneurship, everything stopped. Hair stopped, nails, everything. Not hair didn't stop. Hair didn't stop for a long time. Hair stopped. Hair didn't stop till like 2017, and that was not because I was deep into entrepreneurship. It's just because I had a personal thing pop up. But that probably was the only thing that I kept was getting my hair done. Yeah, that was probably the only. I stopped shopping. Shopping is where I spent most of the money. I didn't spend $3,000 a month on my hair. I spent it on clothes. I had so many clothes, y'all, and so I had to stop that. So you're gonna have to give up some stuff. So I gave up shopping, and when my daughter got old enough to understand that I was this other person. And my mother said to her, your mother used to wear some fly clothes. And she goes, what happened? Because I became an entrepreneur. Not that I don't dress cool, but for her, it was like, that's what you wearing? And I'm like, yeah, it's a business suit. It's not like the stylish whatever. I got on business clothes all the time. And she thought that was just quite boring. But for me, I'm at a meeting, so I don't need to be super flashy. I need to look business oriented, right? So I gave that up. So that's the first thing you got to figure out. What are you willing to give up to be an entrepreneur? That's the first thing. The next thing you got to figure out is the problem is the business you're trying to start, does it solve a real problem, right? I started plenty of businesses that didn't solve problems. Plenty. Is there a real pain point that you can fix with the business that you're trying to start? Because if you can't solve a problem and fix a pain point, you're not going to make any money. Trust me, I've tried. I've tried to start things that were heart projects. I want to help people. It doesn't matter because you want to help them. It doesn't matter that you see something that they need help with. Do they want that? Are they telling you that they're in pain? Is it something they're going to pay for? You got to make sure that there's a real problem, a real pain problem. That's important. The other thing too, you got to be emotionally ready. It is ups and downs like you've never seen in your life. The valleys of up. I still go through them. I've been in this game 29 years. I still go through the ups and downs. I still go through them every day because some days things work out great, and then 2 days later everything falls apart, and then they got to put it back together. Especially when you're a solopreneur. I can't. When I think about having a business where it's a business, I'm an entrepreneur. So let me tell you the difference. There's an entrepreneurs and then there's a business owner, right? And then there's the people that are like self-employed. So entrepreneur, we create things, we innovate things. That's what we do. But it's normally just us, right? Then you have businesses where there's a CEO and the business is going to keep running even when the CEO is not there. And then you have the self-employed people like the lawyers and the doctors. Again, nothing happens unless they're there, right? I haven't gotten to the business side yet. I'm still an entrepreneur. When you are an entrepreneur, You go through an emotional roller coaster. Do you hear what I'm saying? I'm talking about emotional, because you have these good days and you have these really bad days and you have these really good days. People don't understand you. You feel all alone. You're stressed out. The money's not coming right. The client asks for a refund. Let me tell y'all. Someone got a membership. They got a membership to the chamber. They asked me to put them on the payment plan for the membership, which is $35 a month. I did that. They paid 1 month, and then they put in a dispute for the next month payment. So when I get the dispute, I'm looking like it was 2 months. So they paid 1 month. They were on automatic debit. It came out the next month because it's on automatic debit because they asked for a payment plan, which it's not even advertised on the website. But I said, okay, I'll do it because the person said they really want to be a part of it, and we were trying to help them grow their business. The very next month, the payment came out, and the woman put in a dispute. Now, what she could have said was, hey, I'm canceling the membership. Can you give me a refund? But instead of doing that, she put in a dispute with our payment processor. And so when you put in a dispute, it looked like we did something wrong. So I went back and said, hey, could you cancel the dispute? Because all you had to do was tell me you needed a refund. Don't put in a dispute because that make us look like we did something wrong. Well, she wouldn't do that. So I just refunded her and I put a note that she never asked for it. She never said to cancel her membership or whatever. But I said all that to say that's very emotional. And it took me a long time, and I still deal with that when you know you're doing all you can to help people and they are so ungrateful for your help, and then they turn around and they do things like that. That's emotional. Now, I may be a little bit too emotional, but that's who I am. So you need to know who you are and what your emotional quotient is. What is that? How do you handle emotions? Very, very important. And then the next thing is, do you understand your numbers, right? How much money is it going to take you to start and run that business? Do you have enough money put away? What happens if something goes wrong? Is there a safety net? All of these things are really important. Don't do what I did. When I started my first business, I quit my job. I had bad credit. I didn't have any money saved up. I just had a big dream. I literally quit. I took a paper route, slinging papers at 3:30 in the morning. Everybody thought I had lost my mind. I was getting paid at that time. I think I was making like $650 a week. Back then, that was a lot of money, right? I was making about $650 a week. I gave it all up for my dream. I'm never going to tell anybody to do that because that adds another layer of stress that you just don't need. You don't need that type of stress. So understand your numbers. How much money does it cost? How much money is going to cost to operate every month? What's the break even? You need to know them numbers. And here's a great thing about today. Right now, today, you can turn any of these platforms, Chat GPT, Gemini, Claude, into like you're an accountant that can help you with your profit and loss statements if you cannot afford a bookkeeper or somebody like that to help you understand the numbers. You can go right there and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. Create a P&L for me, which stands for profit and loss. Create a budget for me. Right on Chat GPT will do it for you, Claude will do it for you, or Gemini. So you got to know your numbers. All right? That's very important. Um, are you willing to sell? You know, uh, I'm very uncomfortable selling. When I tell y'all, it's almost detrimental to my business at this point. And I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm terrible when it comes to sell. I hate asking for the sale. I really, really do. And that has been my stumbling block forever. My wish was that people could just see my genius and pay me, right? And people see it, but unless you ask for the sale, they're not going to pay you. So you got to be real comfortable asking for that money. I got people who don't mind asking for money. It was so good. I was listening to God, what was it? I think it was called A Million in 12 Months. I think that's the audio book I'm listening to. And he was talking about the guy who did, I think it's a million in 12 months, which they made $1 million in 12 months, right? So I'm listening to that right now. And what he was saying was, he said there's two types of people. There's the visionary person, and then there's the chief operating person. I'm a visionary. The chief operating person, that's the person gonna make sure the structure is good and they're gonna go for the money. The visionary is just the person with the big vision. They can make it, they can plan everything out in their head, they can make things come to life, but then someone has to take it and run with it. I'm that person. I know I'm that person. I know who I am. And so I've been trying, for the last probably 5 years, I came to grips with that's who you are, or do you don't like selling to people? You gotta like to sell, y'all, but you're gonna struggle even more. And if you don't like to sell, you gotta find somebody to help you sell. The thing about that is when I try to go get people to help me sell, I didn't know any better. I know better now, but I also have trust issues because my thing is, if you're out there selling on behalf of my company and you decide to take somebody's money and run with it, they're coming back to me because you're the salesperson and you're representing the company. Now I can't. You take all this money and steal it. Now I'm on the hook for that. You know what I'm saying? Because that person worked for me. That's very scary to me. And this is the first time I'm actually saying this out loud, like right now. But that is very scary to me. So I've been trying to come up with alternatives to ways to sell so that I don't have to ask for the sale and I don't have to hire salespeople. And I'm working on it, and I think I finally figured it out. But you got to be very comfortable selling. And sometimes just hearing no is rough. Feeling like you've been rejected is rough. What I've learned though over the last 5 years is that the rejection is not towards me. It's just that people are not ready yet, or I have not shown them enough value for what I offer yet. Like I reached out to now let me tell you this. I reached out to four people about something I was doing, right? And to me, these were the hard they was the easiest four because I knew them personally, but it was also the hardest four because I knew them personally. I also knew that they probably could all have said yes, and they all said, well, one said nothing. Well, two said nothing. One said they didn't have a budget, and the other one was saying I was too expensive. Okay. Two said nothing. But you know what I felt after that? I said, Lord, if I could ask those four people to support what I'm doing, I could ask anybody anything. So I sat down and I came up with a plan. You got to get to the nose. That gave me a little bit more strength in my muscle because I'm terrible at selling, right? So I know that about myself. So you have to figure out, are you are you going to be willing to sell what you create? And that has been, I can tell you right now, that has been a big problem in my business. Genius things, not because I create them, but because they are. And then I'm afraid to sell them to anybody. Mostly 95% of my business has been word of mouth, which I'm grateful for that because that's what has kept me afloat for 29 years. But I'm ready to scale. I'm ready to scale to that $1 million business that I've been talking about for the last 10 years. I'm ready to scale there. That's going to require me not being afraid to sell. And last point is, does it fit the life you want right now? Does the business you're thinking about starting, does it fit your life right now? If you know that you have to take your kids to soccer and guitar lessons, piano lessons and gymnastics and swimming, this is not going to work for you. You might want to rethink that. If you got to be going all the time and your husband is not home and when he's home you're going, this might not work for you. If you're exhausted by the time you get off of your 9 to 5 and all you can do is lay up on the bed and just and ball up in a knot, and you don't want to do anything else because you're exhausted, this may not be for you. And how's your health? Like I just drink a beet smoothie, like a 15, 16 ounce beet smoothie. Why? Because I need the best health possible. Because what I do is health challenging because I have to be on the run a lot. So you have to ask yourself, does this fit my lifestyle? Does it? That's a good question. Because you don't want to start something that does not fit your lifestyle. You just don't want to do that. And it's gonna be miserable when you have your family and you're trying to do family time, and you're trying to do husband and wife time, and you're trying to do the business, and you're trying to go to the marketing conference, you're trying to go to this conference, you're trying to learn how to do SEO, and you're trying to learn how to do social media. And they keep saying you don't have time for me. When I first started my first business, I met my husband because of the business, right? He wanted to be an investor in my company. Now, I don't know what he thought once he got in there, but I was an entrepreneur when he met me. And I said to him, I'm not marriage material. I don't think I'm gonna be a good wife because right now I'm an entrepreneur and I'm probably gonna be one to the day they put me in the box, right? I told him that. Date when I realized he was trying to date me, because we had like 3 or 4 investment meetings, and then around the fourth meeting, he brought me roses. I'm like, is he trying to date me? Because I wasn't thinking about nothing but, look, bruh, show me the money, let's go. But he brought me roses, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm good. Like I really don't. Not especially where I am right now. I'm trying to grow this business. Sure enough, he said he was okay with it, and probably about a year into the relationship, he was complaining about me not having enough time. So he goes to his best friend who's a good friend of mine. He comes back to me and say, just kind of, try to give him some time. I was pissed because I told you this is who I was. This is what I was doing. So you got to think about all that. Even when they say it's okay, I had a good friend. She came to visit me last weekend, and she's dating someone new. And I said to him, "She's an entrepreneur. Are you good with that?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm good with that." I said, "You sure?" Because I know her, and she's a diehard entrepreneur. She's a hard worker. She's a go getter. Are you good with that? He said, I'm good with it. Now, here's the thing. We're going to see, because there will come, and I know her, either she's going to simmer down some, or he has to get used to the fireball, the firecracker that he's in a relationship with. And she's a firecracker. She's a go-getter. So it's gonna be interesting. So yeah, those are the 5 things. I think it was 6. I want you to think about before starting this business. So let me do a quick recap. First, you got to find out, is this something you really want to do? One, you got to find out, is it a real pain problem? Pain and paying. It needs to be a pain problem that will pay you. Right. So you got to find that out. Do you have the emotional stamina to do this thing? Can you handle rejection? Can you handle delayed results? Can you handle people doing chargebacks? Can you handle people putting in disputes? Can you handle the loneliness? Can you handle all of the self-doubt that's going to pounce on your head? Can you handle all of that? Right? If you that person that want constant praises and you want people to applaud for you all the time, this is not it. I'm telling you right now. Can you handle the fact that you don't know if the client's going to pay? Listen, I have a client, they're on automatic pay, and I put everybody on automatic pay so my money can come automatic. Here's the problem with that. If there's no money in their account, there's no money coming automatic. What I get is a red thing that says fail. Can you handle that? And I get that once every quarter where I have 2 or 3 businesses, money didn't come into them, so they can't pay me. So guess what I get? When it's time for my payment processor to process that payment, I see red failed. Can you handle that uncertainty? And you want to get to the point where it's certain, but it's not certain until you grow a business, right? Do you understand your numbers? Do you understand how much money you need to live? Do you understand how much money it's going to cost to run your business? Do you understand those numbers? You got to understand the numbers. Are you willing to sell? Can you talk about what you do? Are you going to follow up on the call? If hearing no's makes you sick and sad, can you handle that? You got to listen. Are you willing to sell? That right there, that one has been my kryptonite. That has slowed me down tremendously. I'm getting better. And does it fit your lifestyle? All right, is it going to fit with your family? Are you going to have the energy level to be an entrepreneur, a wife and a mother, a daughter, a granddaughter? Is it going to interfere with your job? Are you going to have the energy once you get off work to do the business? You know, is it going to impact your finances? So it's going to make your life uncomfortable, or is it going to make it better? Is it going to impact your health because you're not sleeping enough? I'm just talking about the things that I know about. You're not sleeping enough. You're not getting enough water. You're stressed out all the time. All of these things you need to take into consideration. All of them. Every one of them. All right? All right. All right. I just felt like I needed to share that because I talk about the blueprints all the time and they are amazing. They can give you a great head start on what you're trying to do. But here's the thing. You got to start there first. You got to start there first. That's really important. All right? All right. That's all I got for you today. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you spent the last 24 minutes with me, and I love and appreciate you for that. If you missed any episode of this show, just go to Good Morning Gwinnett to subscribe to the show. Also, do me a favor. If you really enjoyed this episode and want to support the show, there's a link in the description that says support the show for $5.99 a month. I would appreciate that. That will help me out a lot, and I can keep doing what I love doing and keep supporting you and help you do what you want to do. All right? I'll be back again on Friday with another great episode. So until next time, my friends, make it a great day. Bye, everybody.
That's today's business blueprint. If you want deeper guidance, marketing, AI, and scaling strategies, you'll find them inside the Blueprint Room, our coaching community for people building real businesses. Go to theblueprintroom.space to become a free member. You can explore today's blueprint and join us at theblueprintpress.today. Until next time, start simple, scale smart.